before I get into my remarks, if it's okay, I'd like to recognize a few of the folks that are here. I have a tendency to speak very fast, and I have a tendency in my job to know exactly what I'm saying and never look at notes. So tonight, because this is important to me, I'm going to do my very best to follow my notes because I want to make sure I get this right, and I'm going to try to talk a little slower. By the way, I've already missed the first thing on my notes, that's why you look down. My name is Delvan Irwin, and I wrote the book you may have heard of, the history of our first 75 years of St. Al football. So with that being said, I should have started off with an introduction. So I'm going to do a few intros here of some people that I think are important to all of us. And I want to start with the gentleman that I believe may be the earliest representative of St. Al football. Now, I could have called him the oldest living Flash, and John wouldn't have cared one bit. But I've already misspelled his name wrong in the book. Caesar, C-A-E-C-E-A. I'm blaming it on autocorrect, John. But to me personally, our book, the book, or our history, for me, our earliest years are the most interesting. The 1910s, the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s, the stories there are to me, so gripping and so fascinating of what our Flashes did, our brothers, the people that came before us, what they did, the stories, who they were. So when I went to John and I talked to him, I felt like I know Billy Hatchet. I felt like I know all these people. But he would rattle off story after story about what happened during the week or what they did on the day. And so I got to feel like I knew those people, not just within a football field, but outside of that football field. And I got a chance to touch history. You do too. And on behalf of every Flash that's ever played, it is my distinct honor to recognize Mr. John Caesar, 1937. If you catch John at some point, and you better do it quick because I'm guessing he's going to go to bed. He's like me, I'm only 50, I want to go to bed now, all right? You better catch him soon. He has great stories of the team. That 38, 39 team with those kids you knew, they were brutal. And he could tell you some great stories about those individuals. The next person that I want to recognize is under a deadline. And that's because in his business, he works to represent us. This family here, and you'll note I call us a family. We're a fraternity, but we're also a family. I'll keep hitting the word fraternity over and over, but we are. But this fraternity, or this family, owes a tremendous debt of gratitude. Not everybody can have a historical record like us. If you care about the book, or if you care about our history, and since you're here, I'm assuming you do. Smaller schools can't have this. Most smaller schools can't have this. Some larger schools can't have this. They didn't have anybody or a resource in order to save our history, or save their history. If it's not word of mouth, if it's not just a tale that gets exaggerated year after year after year, or if it's not in a yearbook, and believe me, I looked at every yearbook I could possibly look at that has to do with us, our brothers, they're wrong half the time. If it's not that, their history's lost. And the people, the stories of John Caesar, the people of the Bergadamo women, they're all lost. But I will tell you this, so many different men worked tirelessly since 1912 to go to our games and report what happened, to report who did what, to report some stats, to report our story. One of them was a gentleman named Billy Ray. I never met Mr. Ray. I wish he was here to see you gentlemen and where we are today and to hear this kind of deal. I mean, I feel like I know him. He passed away years and years ago. But he was a sports editor at the Vicksburg Post. He gave us a lot of what happened that made the story, not only what happened when the whistle blew, but what happened during the week. And that gives us our flavor. On behalf of him, for his lasting service of what he did, and on his behalf and on behalf of his coworkers, I'm honored to recognize the gentleman that carries the torch for them, that represents them now, and continues to do their job in the paper every week. If you pick up the paper and you read about a flash game right now, chances are you're going to read this guy that still carries the torch of Billy Ray, Steve Swogatinsky, and everybody from the 10s and the 20s. And his name is Mr. Ernest Bowker of Vicksburg Post. When you go back to the paper, tell them we appreciate you. Tell them to give you a raise, Eddie Race. I've asked many times these weeks. On behalf of the brothers that led us for the first 75, well, probably more than 75 years, but at least up until the 60s, I would like to note our guest who in many ways carries on this mission, and he is going to hate me. Where's Father Johnston? There he is, back there in the corner. And everybody knows this except for the younger crew or anybody that's never read the Brothers Boys, but our school was led by the brothers, hence the Brothers Boys. Our school was... Our school was led by those guys for years, and in many ways they still are. Father Lawler, and let me, by the way, I'm not Catholic, okay, so you guys will forgive me if I'm not. Thank you, good night. But anyway, those guys led us, and I think the name of that book, by the way, just to throw this out there, the name of that book came from a meeting with Warren when I was researching the book, and we were going through his scrapbook, and we were going through his stuff, and he said, we were just the Brothers Boys. And I thought, that's the name of the book. That's the name of the book. We're not the brothers, you were the Brothers Boys, but we are the Brothers Boys. And so, I was hoping my principal, Father Camp, would come here because he's one hell of a guy. Can I stay here? Okay. But on behalf of all of the brothers that led us, on the football field, by the way, and in the classroom, and as principals and whatever, Father, I'm going to call you Father, I'm letting you stand to represent everybody that's led this school in the past, sir. Thank you. Now we get to the kind of, we go through it pretty quick because nobody came here to listen to me speak. We got two great gentlemen here that can do a better job. Actually three. I'd be hated, I'm not kidding, I think I'd be hated if I didn't mention to have the people stand for the undefeated and untied teams of St. Aloysius Flashes. So if you were part of the following squads, please stand up. 1938, 1939, okay. 1955, 1955, stand up. 1958. 1975, 1977. Where are you guys? Hey. Our man Mike back there, look. For everybody that I just mentioned, you set out, gentlemen, you set out on a mission and you accomplished it. So congratulations, everybody's proud of you. But also, I think it's very important that we recognize everybody who won this award. And if you can't see, it's the Vergadamo Trophy. This recognizes the classroom and the gridiron as the peak of your performance. And I think it's only right at this occasion, if you won the Vergadamo Trophy, hang on, let me back up. If you won the Tony Vergadamo Trophy, if you would stand up, I'd appreciate it. By the way, if you're a Vergadamo winner and you haven't signed this is for posterity. This goes to the school. This will be signed by everybody that is not here and everybody that follows after you. So if you will do us all a favor, if you won this trophy and find me to sign it, I would appreciate it. Am I doing it, Coach? Am I doing all right? Okay, good. Now look at the words. Two gentlemen who worked tirelessly to make this event happen. I don't know if this is the first or if it's not the first event where we've had an all-year player-only reunion kind of thing. By the way, this wasn't not for the spouses. We expected such a great turnout that we knew we had limited space. And if we doubled this, that we felt, we're gonna put ourselves into a bad position. Hopefully in the future, if you guys continue this, or if we as brothers continue this, we can do the spouses. But please tell them this is nothing personal. But I believe this is the first time an all-player reunion has been done, and hopefully it's the most successful one if it's not. And I hope you keep it on. But this didn't happen organically. This didn't happen by itself. There were two gentlemen that took care of making sure that these tablecloths, these helmets, these pictures, everything was done for you. And if it weren't for them, it wouldn't be this nice, from online invitations to everything. And those gentlemen are Michael Mahoney and Kevin Mahoney, if we recognize them out here. And Mrs. Stacy Mahoney, the better looking of the Mahonies of all three of them. Thank you, Stacy. Wherever you are. Oh, I see you over there. Thank you, Stacy. Okay, here's the fun part for me. I'm going to make a few words, personal words, before I finish the introductions of my thank yous. I have the bully pulpit. Unless Eddie's going to come up here and take me out, or somebody's going to pull me off the stage, I get a couple of minutes, right? And so I'm going to use that right now to thank for this book that I wrote. There were some people that were very instrumental in making this happen. And maybe in some small way, because of the support that all of you have given to contribute to this book, maybe that's part of the reason we're here. Part of the reason is we care. We care about each other. We care about St. Al and what have you. And part of the reason, perhaps, is because of that. So with that being said, and this is just personal, to Joe Durst. Joe, thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Your private collection of pictures, your clear and detailed, I'm having to read now to keep myself together. Your private collection of pictures, your clear and detailed stories, and pushing me to keep the memory of Joe Ballsy alive is much appreciated, man. I love you. To Tommy Ray, Ray Terry, Jimmy Terry, to everybody. I'm sorry, Tommy Lee. I gotta get my raise and leaves, Tommy. I'm sorry, man. To Tommy Lee, Ray Terry, Jimmy Terry, to everybody that called or emailed me, to everybody that gave a quote, to everybody that gave some advice or whatever, thank you for ensuring that I had the time to get, or the resources to get what I needed, and to make this as close as I could make it to being right. And thank you, brother. Thank you. I hope you like it. Okay. Since Coach Bourgeois is probably counting this down in his head right now, I'm going to get to just a few thoughts, and then we're going to move on. I'll try to make it quick. But it's an understatement, obviously, to tell you how much it means for me to stand in front of you. And it may not mean anything to you, but it means a lot to me. I spent about 1.5 years writing this story. I came to personally know 756 teenagers who aren't teenagers anymore, any more than I am. You take a look at me, we're not teenagers anymore, but I got to know you, and I got to feel like I was part of your team. No matter what year you were on, I got a chance to feel like I was part of your team. And since I played at St. Al, since I've walked across Grove Street, and since I've worn purple and gold, since I've been there for the kickoff, since I've seen people on the fences, since I've done what you've done, since I've sweated and practiced and everything, just as much the same as everybody that comes after me, since I've done that, I could really feel like I'm part of your team. And that made it even more special. But you got to ask, why are we here tonight? I know we want to reconnect with old friends. I know we want to share stories. I know we want to see people we haven't seen in a long time. I know we want to have some laughs. But my hope is in a bigger way that we're really all wanting to celebrate our shared past and shape the future and lay the foundation for those who are coming after us. We have good educators, we have worthy leaders, we have a fine reputation. But I think we can agree that more often than not, the pride in a school and the resources needed to keep that tradition going come from us. They come from us. If you look at the people who come back, even from 1937, right, John? The people that come back, there is a pride. We're the ones that keep the pride going. So, I think that's why we're here tonight, for that shared experience, that shared sense of family, and that shared sense of purpose. So, if you're here tonight, I hope you feel the same. We can't do it alone. And I want to just bring up, a couple of things real quick. I can say I'm part. I know. Am I dragging on, Coach? I'm about done. If that's okay. He's good. I can probably say I was part of a fraternity of brothers. A fraternity of brothers, just as much as if you were in the armed services or at a Greek college deal. I'm part of a fraternity of brothers. But I've got to admit something to you, and I'd like to see this never happen again. When I played here in 1983 and I played here in 1984, it's the only 2 years I went to St. Al. When I walked across the street, I had zero idea who Joe Balsey was. When Joe Evans in 83, right, Joe Evans and Corey Pinkston in 84 received the Bergadama Trophy, zero idea who he was. That's embarrassing. That should not happen. Hopefully now with this book, and hopefully now with if we can come together with a sense of pride and a sense of tradition and keep this going and make it better and stronger, that will never happen again. So hopefully in some way, the 2 years I was there, I made up for not knowing who they were when I marched onto their field and watched their trophies being hoisted. Another funny thing is when I came to write this book, this will ring home with some of you, I guarantee you. But when I came to write this book, I found out that when you were playing, there were kids that hung on the fences and watched these games. There were kids, and maybe some of you were those kids that watched the St. Al Flashers play, and you dreamed of who you were going to be, which one you were going to be, and you were going to be like this guy. And you memorized the names of those kids. I heard that story over and over and over. Kids that hung on the fences that wanted to be you. All of these gentlemen that played on football fields, you wanted to be you. I want to make sure that continues, that everybody wants to play for the St. Aloysius Flashes. They have a sense of pride in the particular deal. In early years, not only for St. Al, but for Clinton too, people on weekends, I just did a project on Clinton because I live in Clinton and my son played there. Even in Clinton, just as much as St. Al, on Friday nights, people in Vicksburg, if you were a St. Al person, you weren't going anywhere but the field, and it was full. And the people in the 50s could tell you that story because I could look at the attendance records that were in the paper for the 50s, and it was jaw-dropping. I want to make sure that continues, that doesn't falter off, that doesn't become something that kicks by the wayside. Sorry to overtalk that. And I'll finish my thoughts with this. Another important thing is family. If there's one thing I've learned after writing this book and after talking to every one of you, is that doggone, you guys are all related. I mean, every one of you are related to each other, am I right? Even today, it was like, oh, well, Tim was asking my cousin, that's my cousin. Wow, okay, I'm not related to anybody, so knock it up. But it's a family thing. And your family's been doing this for how long? 100 years? Your great-grandfathers, your great-uncles, and your whoever has been doing this 100 years. Carry on their tradition and walk in their shoes and make sure this doesn't fall by the wayside. Okay, I've talked way too long. If it's okay with you, I'd like to wrap up with the last part of my book. When I finish my book, Actually, no. No. I was asked, Michael asked if I could tell just a couple of stories, just a quick couple of stories about the specialness of this book. And I'll give you just a couple. Is that all right? In 1923, I just brought a couple out. 1923, St. Al ferried across the Mississippi River to play Clemson. Play Tallulah. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I actually played Clemson. What I found was that team wasn't very good, so what they did is they hired players in town that played at Clemson to play us. And the only thing that was written was that we left broken up and hurt. But we ferried across the river in 1926 and played Tallulah again, and this time we beat them, so I guess Clemson had, school was back in, so we beat them then. In 1928, September 28, we went on a goodwill tour. You'll love this one. We went on a goodwill tour to Rolling Fork. And Rolling Fork used to be they were bad to the bone, right? But we went up there as a goodwill tour. This is the Vicksburg Chamber of Commerce people trying to woo the Rolling Fork and vice versa so we could trade. But we went on a goodwill tour to play them. Well, it turned into the biggest brawl I think we've ever had at St. Al. It spilled off the field, into the stands, and into the police. So, and by the way, we had to forfeit 1-0. We lost it on everything. And I think it was only because we were the away team. Two more. St. Al lost on November the 12th, 1937. They didn't lose again until September the 20th, 1940. That's why I said to John about the 38-39 team were some bad son of a guns. And the only reason they lost, nobody wanted to play them. So they had to get on a train that left from Cherry Street, and they went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to play Baton Rouge. And they lost 26-0. In 1953, I'll finish the stories for this one. In 1953, we played Natchez Cathedral at Natchez Cathedral, and Joe Durst will tell you that it was a rigged game from start to finish. And actually, the book I wrote, the stories I read in the newspapers actually fleshed that out. But Tommy McTaggart, where's Tommy? I know you're here, Tommy McTaggart. Anyway, had he not had an emergency appendectomy the week before, he would have gone to play in that game. And his father was raised at Devereaux Hall, the boys' school in Natchez. He would have played in the shadow of where his daddy grew up and had no idea. So there is a story tradition. We have a great story to tell. I hope the Brothers brings it out in many ways. Welcome, Father. So I will leave you with this. Coach, I hope you're ready. I'll leave you with this. When I wrote the book, I finished it by saying the following, and I think it still fits for signing off tonight, because nobody can hear me speak, but I'll finish with this. To everyone who has ever put on the purple and gold, and to those that follow, we will always be brothers. Share your history with those that follow, and your love for those who came after. My sincerest hope is that you take your rightful spot in St. Al history while remembering your brothers who gave you what is rightfully yours. I think that's a good ending for tonight, and I appreciate you.